some shoppers, Black Friday means deals, but in Torrance today, it also meant a protest. Immigrant rights groups rallied outside of Home Depot there, accusing the retailer of allowing ICE raids on its property. Fox 11's Laura Diaz here with more on that, Laura.
And yes, Christine, about 100 people showed up today. Protesters say Home Depot has looked the other way as those raids have been played out across Southern California. And they're using this Black Friday to push for a boycott. They took their message to Torrance this afternoon.
Boycott Home Depot!
On this Black Friday, members from various immigrants' rights groups carried signs and expressed outrage in front of the Home Depot in Torrance. They were demonstrating on behalf of the day laborers and against ICE raids, many of which have taken place at Home Depots in the Southland. Demonstrators allege that Home Depot has been helping federal officials in the immigration raids, which have played out dramatically in recent months.
It gives ICE privilege so they can use their facilities to take these people without due process.
For people like Kathleen Kirich, it felt like a moral obligation. She usually shops here at the store located at Lomita and Crenshaw Boulevard. But this Friday, no shopping cart, just fighting words urging shoppers to make a statement by withholding their shopping dollars from the home improvement store.
I've shopped at Home Depot for 4 decades. I've spent a lot of money at Home Depot, but not now. Not when Home Depot is not standing up for the human beings that keep our country alive and running.
Activists have tried several means of boycotting the store chain, including this one, asking shoppers to boycott the store in Spanish. Another protest location was Home Depot in Monrovia earlier this week, where demonstrators bought ice scrapers and then promptly returned them at cash registers. The move stymied frustrated shoppers at the checkout, creating a long line. It slowed down business. And why do this on Black Friday?
Buy your Christmas tree elsewhere and boycott Home Depot. We want them to denounce the raids. We want them to stop allowing their parking lots to be used as hunting grounds. We want them to provide safe spaces for day laborers and offer some recompense to the over 500 families whose lives have been shattered.
Home Depot denies any complicity in those raids, telling Fox 11, right here, you see it on your screen, we aren't notified that immigration enforcement activities are going to happen, and we aren't involved in the operations. We aren't coordinating with ICE or Border Patrol. We're required to follow all federal and local rules and regulations in every market where we operate.
And this is not the first we've seen at Home Depot, these kind of protests.
No, we've seen them throughout Southern California, and we've also seen numerous raids. So there seems to be the connection between the two. That's what activists are saying. And of course, the store is saying that's simply not so.
All right. We can stop there right there. What's going on, good people? It's your boy, Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless, and I'm back with another video. And, man, I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday morning. Yeah, we back, baby. We back. And then, as the title says, and as you just saw, Black Friday boycott failed. Record sales tell a different story. Man, oh man. I mean, this was one for the books here. Because as you can see, man, people were out here getting a protest on about the Black Friday blackout and the whole nine, you know, and they were boycotting stores like Target, as you can see, Home Depot, telling everybody don't go out and shop at these particular stores. And it was going down, you know, people were saying we I mean, you had preachers like Pastor Jamal Bryant, you had personalities like Roland Martin encouraging people to not go out and spend no money. They said, we ain't buying it, was the slogan. And it just backfired. Actually, we're going to get to that. But before we do, I want to definitely bring this up here. And as always, you know what I'm saying? Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, all right, all right. So we can stop that right there. Now, as you know, whenever people are doing a boycott, it's to this magnitude, right? And you talking about how bad the economy is. That's what everybody's saying. But people actually went out on Thanksgiving that just passed last week. They took more flights than any other time in record history. Like they was talking about this boycott, but more people traveled and more people spent more money on Black Friday in decades. We haven't seen we haven't seen a time where people spent so much money in years. Gas prices are down lower than they've been in maybe 4 to 5 years, right? So we hear a lot of stuff about the economy's doing so bad and this, that, and the third. But when you really look at it, people are spending more money, people are traveling more. So is the economy really doing bad? I don't know. But let's look at this boycott a little deeper. You know, prior to Thanksgiving and prior to Black Friday, let's just take a look at what people were saying as far as the boycott is concerned. All right, all right, all right. And this is CNN for reference, fair use.
So this time of year, right after Thanksgiving, is usually a layup for big retail companies. But this year has not been business as usual. Activists are upset that corporations are not speaking out against policies promoted by the Trump administration. And so now they want their money to talk. Like the No Kings protest or the Target fast. The branding for this pressure campaign is "We ain't buying it." Organizers want you to pull back from spending money at Target and Home Depot and Amazon. Now, in a press release, they say the companies have caved to Donald Trump's bigoted and anti-democratic attacks on our communities and our values, from cravenly abandoning their commitments to diversity, equity, and inclusion to enabling the terrorizing of our communities. Corporate collaboration must stop. Now,
okay, so I want to touch on that, right? So they major complaint with the boycott is the dismantlement of DEI. Pardon me. The dismantlement of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? They're trying to say that that's racist. When actuality, when you look at the raw numbers of who benefits from DEI, is majority white women that benefit from DEI. That's just the numbers. So how is that racist towards people of color when it benefits white women? And another demographic that's right up under that is the alphabet community. You know, they benefit more from DEI. I think when you get to like Black and brown people, you're like 6th or 7th on the list. So in DEI, all that is these companies have been forced to have to hire people based on their race or nationality or religion or sexual orientation, or, oh, we don't have enough alphabet members on our staff, so we need to hire them. Although someone else that may be straight may be more suitable for the position. But if you got somebody that's that you need, like that's let's just say it could be a white person. You got too many white people, so you got to hire more Asian people, you know, opposed to whoever is more qualified for the position. So people be complaining about DEI, and it's just crazy to me. And then another thing is they mad about the mass deportations that go down at Home Depot. We all know that a lot of time illegal immigrants tend to camp out at Home Depot. So they saying that Home Depot, Target, places like that are letting ICE know where they at when everybody knows that illegal immigrants hang out at Home Depot. They nobody got to tell on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know where y'all be at. So ICE, they already know they ain't got to get tipped off by Home Depot, and Target and them is like, man, whatever. Target specifically, man, hires a lot of black people. So this is just a crazy boycott to begin with.
The boycott puts another bullseye on Target. The retailer has been open about seeing their bottom line be impacted by this previous boycott after dropping DEI initiatives. But is the holiday timing a game changer? Latasha Brown is co-founder of Black Voters Matter. That's one of the groups leading this We Ain't Buying It effort. Latasha, welcome back to the show. Let me start here. So we know about the reason behind the Target focus. Tell me about why you're also focusing on Home Depot and Amazon.
You know, when we look at Home Depot, it's interesting. Home Depot has actually built their business is based on home improvement and construction, and they've built their business on the backs, quite frankly, of immigrant labor, on an industry that depends on immigrant labor. But what we've seen is they've actually been colluding with ICE to provide information to surveillance. One of the groups that's a part of the coalition, that two of the workers that were in the store that they called, that ICE actually came in their store and attacked while they were in there. And so Home Depot has also been capitulating. They have aligned themselves with this administration that is creating hurt and harm on the very people who have helped to build this business.
And Amazon?
And Amazon, what we see is Amazon is also, they've been supporting, just for a tax break, they've been supporting this administration, providing $1 million for the inauguration, you know, so that they can get tax benefits at our expense. And what we're saying is that we expect corporations to be accountable to the customers. You can't align yourself with an administration that does not, that is hurting and harming our communities. We won't buy it. We ain't buying it.
Now, before we get to some of the goals of this protest, this boycott, Walmart rolled back their DEI. There have been ICE missions and operations outside of Lowe's locations. Why these two and not the others?
Well, you know, part of what we're asking people, and I think what you're going to see across the board this weekend, what you're going to see across the board is that many of those companies, they're going to see some, they're going to see their sales be down.
Now, she just said many of these companies are going to see their sales be down. Right. Okay.
We wanted to do to send a message with these three companies. One, it's measurable. They're focused. We're focused on that, but we're saying we ain't buying it. We're not standing with any company, right? These three are just the beginning. They're not the end. Those other companies as well, we've been asking people to hold their money, to not support and shop with companies that do not align with the values that we believe that supports our communities, including these other companies. These three companies just happen to be the companies that we decided that because of what was happening, because we're seeing egregious nature, that we would focus on those three companies.
And so how long is this going?
For this particular action, this is throughout the weekend up until Monday, which we're calling Cyber Shutdown Monday. But we're hoping that people take ownership, and we've already been seeing it. We have over 100 organizations that have signed on, that are part of this effort, millions of people that are participating, and we're hoping that.
So they got hundreds of organizations, all this leg work and all this media effort that they putting into this boycott. And, you know, just take note of everything that she's saying, that they trying to, and they just pick these companies randomly, it seemed like. You know, they just picked on Target, Home Depot, you know, just, hey, any, mini, money, mo, it seemed like to me, because a lot of companies are in favor of dismantling DEI programs, and illegal immigrants, they don't have to get they don't have to tell ICE anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ICE gonna do their investigation. And if it's a bunch of illegal immigrants on their property, you know, it ain't necessarily got to be the company. It could be people that's going shopping that's telling, ICE what's going on. So it's just interesting to hear. I'm gonna play this a little bit more so you can get a full understanding of what they was trying to stand on with this whole boycott. We ain't buying it.
Folks will take their ownership, that they will become much more disciplined consumers, and that this will continue as we go forward.
And so if people hold their sales until Tuesday, right? What you were going to buy on Amazon, what were you going to get at Target, you hold until Tuesday. What do you think the impact of the pressure campaign will be?
Well, let me tell you this. In this weekend alone, 20 to 30% of retail sales happens. That when you're looking at the fourth quarter earnings, it is determined on this week. For many businesses, particularly retail businesses, right, 6 months out, this is projection, not just only for their fourth quarter, but this is the most important, I think, consumer weekend. That's why it was called Black Friday on Friday. And so this will send a message that in this short period of time that is known as the retail moment, it's called Black Friday because many companies, this is when they go into the black,
sure,
right? So that's why it's the impact based on this has been a major sale, a cultural day where people shop and buy holiday.
Okay, so we get the gist of that, right? We get the gist of that. You know what I'm saying? So what they trying to do is stick it to the pockets. You know what I'm saying? They trying to make sure these stores, we gonna punish y'all for working with Trump administration with illegal immigration, which, you can't prove that. And they came out and said that they not sitting up there telling Trump and them about and ICE and them to come get the illegal immigrants. So they, that's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, y'all mad about DEI that don't even, benefit people of color as much as it does other demographics of people. So, and she said, what you gonna see is record low spending, right? But let's look what happened on Thursday, because everybody was spending money. We supposed to have such a, everybody complaining about Trump ain't doing this, ain't doing that. But when you really look at how much people are traveling, let's look at what's going on, what happened on Thanksgiving. We're gonna talk about this, man. Like I said, Black Friday boycott failed. Record sales tell a different story. Okay, now let's blow this up and check out this clip here.
Expects the Thanksgiving travel season to be a record breaker, which means packed planes and potential traffic troubles. Nearly 80 million Americans are expected to travel 50 miles or more. Chris Van Cleve has the latest.
Brendan Lane will be hitting the road to see family this Thanksgiving.
It's always been a great tradition to go up to northern New York City and spend some time in the Big Apple, and then also spend time with family as well.
And he won't be alone. AAA expects nearly 72 million will drive 50 miles or more, a record high, up from last year and pre-pandemic numbers.
Okay, listen to that. 1.1 million more. From last year, record numbers of people traveling in this horrible economy that Trump had created, even though Joe Biden had everybody on the floor for the past 4 years when he was in office. Interesting how that works. But let's continue. I'm sorry, I think I pressed the mute button.
Out of all of the holidays, Thanksgiving is the one that most people travel. So that's why you're going to have the airports be the most crowded they are out of the whole year, and also the roads.
Gas prices are more than 25 cents a gallon cheaper than this time last year. And about half the country is paying $3 or less a gallon. AAA says domestic airfare will cost you a bit more, though, compared to 2023, up about 3%. But that's not stopping people from flying. United Airlines is planning for the busiest Thanksgiving travel period it's ever seen. The nation's 4 largest carriers All expect more flyers than last year.
You did not want to travel for Thanksgiving.
No, we wanted them to come to us.
We met Roscoe and Judy Nelson at the Las Vegas airport, squeezing in a pre-holiday trip to Disneyland. Their family will be driving to them this Thanksgiving.
Why would you travel at Thanksgiving? It's horrible.
The airlines expect to start getting busy this Friday. They're planning to fly some 31 million people during the holiday stretch. That's a new record. The busiest days to fly, the day before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after. Pretty similar story on the roads, but AAA says they've also seen a surge in people leaving on Tuesday because often kids don't have school on Wednesday. Chris Van Cleve, CBS.
All right. Now we see how that's going, right? On Thanksgiving, hey, people ain't studying about them boycotts. You know, they wasn't tripping on them boycotts, man, on Thanksgiving. People was out spending money, and I'm pretty sure, you know, people was traveling, people was stopping in Target, people was stopping in Home Depot, going about their normal day. Ain't nobody tripping. The majority of America ain't tripping on this boycott they was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Now, that was Thanksgiving. Now, let's see what was going on Black Friday. Now, this is the big one. Now, this when everybody posted not spend no money. But, hey, let them tell it. Record-breaking sales on Black Friday amidst the we ain't buying it boycott. So let's get off into that.
The Atlantic accusing President Trump of waging war on Christmas, saying, quote, holiday shoppers might not notice that things are a little less merry and bright. The average family is expected to spend $132 more this year because of tariffs, rent,
Right, so that's what they saying, right? You know, Trump with these tariffs, man, everything's so much higher and more expensive. Come on, Trump, man, you tweaking. Why you got these tariffs, man? Got everybody out here, man, stressed out, man. But check this out.
co-pays, mortgages, car payments, and utilities, which remain brutal. Customers have started shopping at cheaper outlets, buying fewer items, and putting off major expenses. But tell that to Black Friday merchants who saw online sales hit a new record with nearly $12 billion in sales, up more than 9% since last year. National Economic Council Director Kevin
Ooh, no, we can't breeze past that. Almost $12 billion spent on Friday. Boycott what? Online Black Friday spending hit record level, $11.8 billion. Ain't nobody boycotting. And people that saying the economy is messed up, like, hey, up 9% since last year. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. People having more money in their pocket, but they not saying it, right? Because I'm telling you, people out here spending, traveling, man, they ain't thinking about what these boycotts talking about. Hey, them illegal immigrants, DEI, they ain't thinking about none of that, man. Black Friday was up, and that stimulates the economy, right? We want people to be able to have more money so they can spend into the system. You know, people get raises at these places. You know what I'm saying? When they doing well. If Target doing well, if Home Depot, these are American companies. We want them to thrive. We don't want to punish them. You know what I'm saying? And if you got the money and you want to spend it, man, spend it right where you know, at your local Target, Home Depot, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett joins me live from the White House. Kevin, so great to have you on.
It's great to be here.
Also seeing that the National Retail Federation says they're expecting $1 trillion of spending. So what's the disconnect here between the Grinches at the Atlantic?
It's really true.
And
you kind of wonder if the
numbers.
Grinch took over, right? I must stop Christmas from coming.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is that we just had the best Black Friday that we've ever seen. And it's not just because people are out there, you know.
Wow, the best Black Friday we ever seen. Why these people out here talking about protesting? They done protested and protested, like that lady was saying, hey, expect to see all these decreases, but despite all of their efforts. That was the best Black Friday in years. People spent money like they ain't never spent it before, because guess what? They got more money in their pocket. They just don't realize it yet or something.
Taken debt on their credit cards just because incomes are way up under President Trump. They dropped about $3,000 a person, $6,000 a family under Joe Biden, and it's up $1,500 a person so far this year. And with all that extra money and with the government shutdown over, so people feel comfortable going back to stores, that we're seeing a really blowout, Thanksgiving and Christmas coming our way. I think all the retailers expect that both online and in-store sales are going to be the highest we've ever seen. And the point is that that's happening even though inflation is way, way down under President Trump. And it was 5-10% under Biden, and right now it's running at about 2.5%. And it's not.
That's the key right there. The inflation is down. I mean, gas prices where I'm at is down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to do a lot more. My dollar stretching a lot more. And this is only 9-10 months into his, like, this is just the beginning. The full effect of what Trump is implementing, we ain't going to feel that for at least 2 years in. And we already seeing record level spending on Black Friday. They not giving nobody they props about this. They don't want to acknowledge it. But they out here spending more money because they got it. Right? Inflation is at 2% when it was just through the roof last year, this time. Just saying. I don't even count this economy as Trump's economy yet. You got to get Trump. Stuff ain't going to happen overnight. Yeah, the prices of things could go down. No, we ain't where we need to be. We nowhere near it. But things are coming down, and they're coming down faster than I anticipated. You know what I'm saying?
It's way lower than wage growth, right? And so people's incomes are going up by way more than inflation. And that's why we're seeing these blowout sales.
Yeah. I mean, President Trump gave us the best economy we had in 50 years in my entire lifetime in the first term. And then things kind of went south, and now he's trying to bring it back. And I think people think you can just snap your fingers and everything's going to be great. But one thing that has been great has been gas prices, the lowest in 4 years.
Yeah, there are a lot of states that are below $2 a gallon. Turkey prices were down 19 cents. I bought 2 different ones because some other show was criticizing me because I said, oh, generic turkeys are pretty good. So I made 2 this time, and I didn't really notice a difference. So buy the cheaper turkey next year, folks. But you can get the fancy one if you want to. But the bottom line is it's next year that really has us excited. Yeah. Because the government shutdown effects will be gone. But also, don't forget, because of the big tax cuts, we got no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. All of those changes are coming in next year as refunds because it happened midway through the year, so it didn't change the tax forms. And so,
bam, that no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, things of that nature. People are going to really see that when they file their taxes in 2026. That's when you're going to really see the effects of those changes, And hey, man, we could drop that right there. We could leave that right there for this video. You know what I'm saying? There's a beautiful thing going on, man. Whether people want to realize it or not, the TDS, the hate for Trump is not going to allow people to admit a lot of this stuff. But, hey, it's real. You know what I'm saying? And before I get up out of here, I wanted to react to a content creator by the name of Barry Cunningham, man. And I thought this was a really good video. It's kind of off the topic, but it's still like showing the direction of the economy. We trying to get rid of income tax as much as possible, less taxes on American citizens. And I thought this was a really good video to react to. So without further ado, shout out to the content creator, Barry Cunningham. Huge platform. Let's get off into this.
Las aranceles van a reemplazar el income tax.
You're the only one that's asked me that. Oh, I deal with all these big financial geniuses.
She just asked them about the tariffs and if they can replace the income tax. Now, he's going to break down how tariffs was basically a part of that was our only way of income. And when people talk about make America great again, what does MAGA stand for? It stands for when we were the wealthiest we ever been in the early 1900s, when we used a tariff-based economy. We didn't have taxes on the citizens. That's what we're trying to go back to. Less to zero taxes. That's when America was great. It ain't got nothing to do about no racism, none of that other stuff they talking about. This is what we talking about.
There's nobody ever. There is a chance that the money from tariffs could be so great that it would replace. You know, in the old days, about 1870 to 1913, the tariffs were the only form of money. And that's when our nation was relatively the richest. We were the richest.
President Trump says that he relied on his tariff policies to make all of this happen. In October, tariffs brought in $33 billion. That's a 316% increase from October of 2024. Now,
when was America great? This is Howard Lutnick, and he was telling a story about tariffs and income taxes. Now, here's another fight the Democrats are going to have, and it's going to be very hard for them to fight this during the midterms. Listen to this.
At the turn of the century, our economy was rocking. This is 1900, 125 years ago. We had no income tax. And all we had was tariffs. All we had was tariffs.
Now, this is when this is what we talk about when we talk about make America great again. American people always complain about taxes and taxes and taxes. And we tax the American people into oblivion. Trump trying to get to a point where you ain't even got to deal with an income tax whatsoever. We just use the tariffs. I mean, just with the government shutdown, the money generated from the tariffs, Trump used that money to fund WIC programs for, women, infant, and children. I mean, a lot of that money went to the food stamps when the whole government shut down. That money that was sitting there came from the tariffs that people are so up in arms about. But this is when we talk about make America great again. We talking about eliminating taxes as much as possible. So, I mean, it's just a burden every year, to deal with this. And we don't have to. And they trying to find a way to get rid of it.
And we had so much money that we had the greatest businessmen of America get together to try to figure out how to spend it. That's who we were then. But then we had World War I and we had World War II.
Which President Trump mentioned in that original post. He mentioned the income tax liability for all these people, and he mentioned where we were and how World War II took so much out of people. And I'm thinking to myself, this stuff is so, how they tie the dots and everything here. Remember, this was from over a year ago. Howard Lutnick was saying that, and I've been playing it. And we were so rich. We had tariffs because it struck me. As someone who hates paying taxes, that struck me. It caught my eye. Like, wait a minute, is this the game plan? Is the game plan to get us to a point where we're no longer having to pay income taxes? And so now he's going to push this out too now, on top of everything else? Yeah. Pin pulled.
And we felt we had a duty to rebuild the rest of the world. So here's what we did. We took down our protection. We took down our tariffs. And we turned instead and we taxed Americans so that we could export the power of our economy and save the rest of the world, which we did.
All right, so mission was accomplished.
Wow. So that was deep what he just said. Like we was all, I mean, we was living it up, you know, with no tax, with no income taxes. Then after World War I and World War II, we tried to save the rest of the planet. Okay, by doing that, we're gonna tax the American citizen. We came with the income tax system then, so we could use the, you know, the tax money to help pay for everything else across the planet. Make America great again and put America first is we need to go back to. I'm not even mad at us trying to save the rest of the planet. Maybe that was the move for that particular time, but times change. And at this time, we have to put America first. You know what I'm saying? And part of that is stop taxing American people, the working class, into oblivion. Let's get back to where the terrorists, when people, other nations wanted access to the largest spending power on the planet, which is the American consumer. That's the power we have. But I'm gonna let them finish cooking though.
Accomplished. If we started an income tax to save the rest of the world from Hitler, mission accomplished. But the Democrats and some Republicans went, wait a second, we can take money from our own people. We can decide at this point how much they have to pay, and we can take from them. And we're going to keep taking from them, and we're going to increase them. Remember, every argument you have heard probably over the last 20 or 30 years is how much? 20%, 30%, 50%, 15%. There's never been an argument put out there where you've seen politicians say, how about none? What? How about no income taxes? You can raise your hand in the chat and tell me if you've heard any politician, Republican or Democrat, president actually, who have advocated and has begun to talk about or began to talk about no income tax.
Never heard it until President Donald Trump. No income tax. Right? This is something that will be monumental. Every year, I'm telling you, I'll be stressing about it like, dang, I got to file. I don't get no money back. You work hard all year, they take the money out, and then you file, you make too much money to get anything back. It's insane. Right? You work hard for it, and then they spend the money on stupid stuff that you don't even know nothing about. It's a ripoff. But now we got President Trump saying he wants to eliminate that whole problem and off your shoulders. Come on, man. If you don't even like Trump, you got to like that.
I can't remember one. All I have heard is how much, what the number was going to be. I never heard anybody say, well, what if we just didn't do this anymore? Okay, let's not do that anymore. Who's going to raise their hand and say, no, we can't do that. We have to keep taxing them. Oh, I know who will. The Democrats, which is why this is happening.
Now let me ask you a question. What decade should that have ended? Should it have ended in the 80s? The 90s? 2000? What in the world are we doing? We're letting the rest of the world eat our lunch. And it is time to make America great again.
Thank you. Hey, now, when you really think about that, it should infuriate you. We are getting taxed to basically provide for the rest of the planet, while these politicians are money laundering those tax dollars. You look at your check, so much money coming out of it, federal and state, and you don't even really know where it's going. But your quality of life is not being enhanced by it. Let's continue.
You know, there are probably people in the audience, people watching online, people who watched when I showed it. I can tell you, I was watching it and I looked over at Ron and went, are they really going to go for this? Are they really thinking about this? Could this be another pin that they're going to pull? Could this even be reality? Is this something we can even aspire to? I was going to say, I bet. No, I know every single person watching this video right now, whether live or replay, would love to not have to pay taxes. Would gladly say, yeah, we can end this. What year was it supposed to be ended? It was supposed to be a temporary thing, and it has turned into a cash cow for the government to steal your money.
Wow. If that don't hit different when they break it down like that, the income tax was supposed to be a temporary fix after World War I and World War II to help the planet bounce back. But they didn't put no time stamp on it. They ain't put no time limit on it because they stealing your money. They're like, shoot, why would we stop this? This is great. We got these people out here working every day, paying taxes to us. We politicians, so we get paid off the taxes that they spending. Why would we want to stop that? But you got one president that says, yeah, let's stop this. Let's make America, put Americans first. I'm just saying.
So I know there's some heads turning like the RCA dog because every time I mention no taxes, people are like, what? How? Well, obviously, if you know how to use a ledger, if you need this much to pay for stuff and you're taking in this much, then you can begin to do this. Especially if you stop cutting expenses like USAID and sending money to Ukraine and everything else. Now that number looks so much more manageable. Democrats won't like this. So what would Trump do?
The next couple of years, I think we'll substantially be cutting, and maybe cutting out completely, but we'll be cutting income tax. Could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in is going to be so large. And yet, other countries who have been ripping us off for many, many years, and many years they've just been ripping us to shreds.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
So now that was last night. That was last night as he was talking to the troops, right after he mentioned about the young woman passing. And he dropped that nugget. Over the next couple of years, we're going to do away with taxes. Maybe not at all. So raise your hand the last time you heard another president even mentioning no taxes. So what do you think happens now? Now they're going to have to defend that.
You see why the Democratic Party specifically has been so against tariffs and demonizing the tariffs, and because that is the antidote to you getting taxed into oblivion. If we just go off a tariff-based economy, that takes the weight off the American citizen, the American taxpayer, right? And if Trump is sitting up here talking about it in real time and his administration is, and people are starting to pay attention and get educated, we can stop that right there. If we start to get educated about it and people start to ask the right questions, well, why are we paying these taxes like this? When we can just go back to the original playbook. It's been done before. So, like I said, when we talk about making America great again, that's what we're talking about. Eliminating the whole tax situation. And that's been the marquee talking point for the MAGA movement. You know what I'm saying? Less taxes, less government, put America first. And like what ties in with what we were talking about with the Black Friday and all of that, when people got more money, they spend more money. So the economy gonna support itself when people got more dollars in their pocket. But hey, it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't at this time, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Help us grow. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. And until next time, we should see you soon. Peace and blessings.